What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? I'm rolling up the sleeves, getting ready. A lot going on right now. Already taking some trades. Let's get right to it. I'm actually even going to bring Jerome Powell into the speech right now. You guys are hearing him take the Q&A as we speak. I'm going to also be taking some trades. So let's get to the action. I'm going to also bring up another screen so that we can take a look at that. We'll bring him back and forth. I'm taking a short right now. Of course, you guys choose your own investment advice, but I'm taking a shot right now on Chevron. I got in there at 159.17. Have some add towards 160.
Do you feel, though, that if inflation remains
high,
you'll be
oil
able to
names?
resume
I am looking at some long tech names, but they've already taken off. You guys have seen the first reaction here, really ripping higher. We'll see what happens with Jerome Powell if it starts to take the downturn here in the market. We are pulling back a little bit. Be careful out there, team. A lot going on right now.
We see the likelihood of credit tightening. We know that can have an effect on the macroeconomy, on demand, on labor market, on inflation, and we're going to be watching to see what that is.
Let me go ahead and I'll share my other camera here so you guys can see what I'm looking at trading wise. Let's get to the action. Leaving Jerome here just to talk in the background because I'm listening just like you guys are right now.
Inflation down to 2%. We'll find ourselves at that place.
All right, let me get my extra camera up here. There you guys will see, start seeing my charts. I'll throw this up back and forth. We'll leave also the audio still on here.
At what point the financial supports that the Fed is extending through the discount window and through its enhanced
Chevron
facility might be at odds
double,
with
triple top here around the 159.64s.
I'm
also started coming back down through this 159 area, started getting short into this area, looking to add to it, but it's already coming down pretty good trade here on Chevron. Looking for some oil names to come down. Can also day trade the action.
So people think of QE.
I don't mind taking a little bit of a day trade here. Normally I don't. I only stick to the swings. But right now there's going to be a lot of action.
Liquidity provision that has increased the size of our balance sheet, but the intent and the effects of it are very different.
I don't mind taking a little bit of a shot on that one. Taking a look also at some other oil names. XOM heading down lower. Chevron heading down lower. Can look at maybe Valero as another target, right? You guys know I've hit that one before in the past. Let's see where it's at right now. I kind of like this right here. Let's go.
The balance sheet expansion
is really a little bit of a bounce here. I already got that 134.50 bounce. Let me see if I can get right back into that area, and then I can add some Valero also short. Even though this spike today, I'm still looking at some oil trades.
It's having its intended effect of bolstering confidence in the banking system and thereby forestalling what might otherwise have been an abrupt and outsized tightening in financial conditions. So that's working.
What's going on out there, team?
Distribution of reserves.
Milky Fade, Hawaii.
We don't see ourselves as
sorry, Tosin. I'm trying my best.
We think that our program of allowing our balance sheet to run off predictably and passively is working.
Cedric.
And of course, we're always prepared to change that if that changes, but we don't see any evidence that that's changed.
No worries. The question should be ending soon. I just wanted to see if there's any other fireworks that comes in here.
Bloomberg News. The minutes of the January-February meeting, the last meeting, indicate that you discussed the possibility of runs on non-bank financial institutions and the impact of large unrealized losses on bank portfolios. Can you talk a little bit more about that discussion, kind of what was talked about in light of that? And then why didn't the Fed, do anything about that at that point to ultimately prevent, what happened this month?
I mean, to be honest, I don't recall the specifics of that. It's been quite an interesting 7 weeks.
Pullback opportunity. But, that's what we need.
But I will tell you though that there have been presentations about interest rate risk. I mean, it's been in all the newspapers. It's not a surprise that there are institutions that have
banks going down a little bit here.
Had unhedged long positions in long duration securities that have lost value as longer term rates have gone up due to our rate increases.
Now up
so that's,
over
that's
a point on this.
I think, as you know, as it is now on the public record, the supervisory team was apparently very much engaged with the bank repeatedly and was escalating, but nonetheless what happened. And so that's really the purpose of one way to think about the review that Vice Chair bar is conducting, is to try to understand how that happened and try to understand how we can do better and what policies we need to change. I mean, one thing is the speed of I'll come back to that, the speed of the run. It's very different from what we've seen in the past, and it does kind of suggest that there's a need for possible, regulatory and supervisory changes, just because supervision and regulation need to keep up with what's happening in the world.
Can you confirm whether or not the board knew about these escalations by the examiners in San Francisco?
Oh, I like this BP
We'll
also
have
to the
come
short
back to
side.
I don't know.
Got no problem taking a shot on this one.
Simon Urbanovich with The Economist. Thank you very much. Chair Powell, you
If I can
stated
get a
twice
bounce, I'll
today
get
that
short
all
VP.
depositors' savings in the banking system are safe. Are you saying that de facto deposit insurance covers all savings? Shouldn't Congress have a say in that? And just by way of example, if a bank with less than $1 billion in assets failed, are you promising to bail out all of its depositors?
Well, I'm not saying anything more than I'm saying. So what I'm saying is you've seen.
I'm not saying
that,
more than I'm
we
saying.
have the tools to protect depositors when there's a threat of serious harm to the economy or to the financial system, and we're prepared to use those tools. And I think depositors should assume that their deposits are safe.
Let me check in on WTI here, see how the oil trade is doing, reacting on
Chair
this.
Powell, Greg Robb from
Did get a
MarketWatch.
spike, now starting to come back
give us a little
down.
bit more color.
Or
You gave just a little bit of color. You said during the first week of the Silicon Valley weekend, you said the question you guys asked was, how did this happen when you saw Silicon Valley Bank? So I was wondering if you could go to the Credit Suisse merger. I mean, wasn't that the big gorilla in the room? Didn't you breathe a sigh of relief when that merger happened? Thanks.
Solid
Sure.
day,
So,
for sure.
that was really the Swiss government. We, of course, were following it over the course of the weekend, and we were engaged with their authorities in the way that you would expect.
Chevron,
all
go.
of this you would expect. It seems to have been a positive outcome in the sense that the transaction was agreed to, and it has been, the markets have accepted it, and it seems to have gone well. And I think there was a concern that it might not go
All
well.
sectors in the red now.
The middle of this week, yes,
From the
I would say
open.
that has gone well so far.
All right, team, trying to mix in a little bit of trading, a little bit of the speech here. I'm going to keep it going for a couple more seconds here. Once 310 hits, I promise I'll take it down.
In the summary of economic projections, the FOMC sees the unemployment rate increasing to 4.5% this year. I'm wondering how you anticipate preventing this from snowballing while using the admittedly blunt tools at your disposal.
So that's an estimate of what will happen as demand slows and as conditions soften in the labor market. And it's a highly uncertain estimate. And I mean, there's really, we have to bring inflation down to 2%. The costs of bringing it down, there are real costs to bring it down to 2%, but the costs of failing are much higher. And if you read your history, as I'm sure you have, you can see that if the central bank doesn't get inflation back in place, make sure that inflation expectations remain anchored, you can have a long series of years where inflation is high and volatile, and it's hard to invest capital. It's hard for an economy to perform well, and
Chevron.
We're looking to avoid
that.
2
points
and,
already,
and to get back to where we need to be, back to where we were for a quarter century.
Oil down, baby.
As we can.
Historically, it's hard to.
Oh man.
That's right. Historically, it's been hard to contain unemployment, and the question is, do you worry about some sort of snowball effect, and how do you factor that into your projections and your thoughts?
Well, it depends on whether so recessions tend to be nonlinear, and so they're very hard to model. The models all work
when he said deposits were safe, I saw some
this,
upside reaction.
When a recession happens,
it's a little bit of a mix.
Tend to be nonlinear, and that's so we don't know whether that'll happen this time. We don't know. If so, we don't know how significant it will be. And so we're very focused on getting inflation down, because we know in the longer run that is the thing that will most benefit the people we serve.
Once through 157,
that's how we can have
profits in Chevron.
We've had very strong labor markets through these long expansions that we've had. 4 of the 5 longest, or 3 of the 4 longest expansions in U.S. history have been really since the high inflation period. And the reason was inflation wasn't forcing the central bank to come in and
We'll talk
stop
about Carvana and
an
GME.
incipient or an expansion. You can have very, very long expansions without high inflation. And we had several of those, and they're very good for people. You see late in an expansion, you see low unemployment, you see the benefits of wages going to people at the lower end of the wage spectrum. It's just a place that we should try to get back to.
Jean.
All right, looking to take
Hi, Chair
at
Powell. Jean
least
Young with
2
Market
points
News.
of profit on the
I just wanted
first
to
profit
ask,
here for
with all the
Chevron.
events of the past 2 weeks, do you still see a possibility of a soft landing for the U.S. economy?
It's too early to
Soft
say really
landing.
whether these events have had much of an effect. It's hard for me to see how they would have helped the possibility, but I guess I would just say it's too early to say whether there really have been changes in that. The question will be how long this period is sustained. The longer it's sustained,
Put a wick there on the
then the
5
greater will
minute, now
be
trying to recover that level.
the likely declines in or tightening in credit standards, credit availability. So we'll just have to see. I do still think, though, that there's a pathway to that. I think that pathway still exists, and we're certainly trying to find it.
All right, team. I'm going to get to the market. You guys can continue watching this. Of course, we have our other stream that's streaming this right now. That's where I got this from. I'm going to actually lower the volume here.
Requiring attention.
I'm going to lower the volume, put it in the background here. I know that some of you guys want to get to the stock market action. Of course, a lot of this could be shaken up with what he's talking about right now. I'm going to try to keep him in my ear a little bit. So if you guys see me get a little lost, you know why, but just trying to catch it for you guys. Let's get to the market action. Let's take a look at what I was able to trade today, what swings are on now. Of course, we're swinging. It looks I got oil to the downside, right? I wasn't able to get the technology trade on the first spike. I wanted to get short some oil names, and I let it get up there towards the resistance. When it really started seeing it break back down, I went after it here off kind of the 160 for Chevron, looking to take some profit at 157.17, which would be already 2 points from our entry. Take from there and then look for it to continue down on the daily chart, right back down into this gap zone, which would get us down towards 154.80s. So let's see what happens there with Chevron. Pretty much, Jerome is pretty much trying to say that he doesn't have enough information really to say if there's going to be any more issues in the banking, but he did state that they would back up all depositors, right? That all word is what I think is very important. Of course, there's going to be a lot to kind of pick and choose from right now. A lot of the media is going and reviewing this. I'm going to just focus on the trading action. If you guys see a big mover, throw it up in the chat. We'll talk all about it here. I'm going to actually bring that down because it's just starting to get confusing here. But you guys can keep up with the action. Just wanted to bring it in for a little bit here. Let me actually bring this camera down here and actually share my screen so I can at least share it with you guys. We can continue pushing here. All right, so here's my screen, of course, watching Chevron coming down here. Got the first profit take, so that's not looking too bad at all there. Canceling the order for BP, was looking for maybe to get BP short. Wasn't able to grab that one. I like that one because it tried to do a gap up move and is looking to go lower. Chevron did bounce around the 157s. Not mad about taking some profits here at the 157.17s so that we could get at least 2 points and now break even on the rest. That's the way we attack a team. Now, this could keep going. If it does get back to my entry, I'll just stop out. I can go ahead and set a stop and just let the rest of the position work, right? I think that this is what I love to do, especially for swing trades. And happy to be back at the swing trading game, right? You guys saw 2 days where I didn't take one swing trade. Today, I started taking some. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some of these ended up turning out to be, of course, kind of a day trade, and I'll talk a little bit about that. That was GME. GME, we got a nice little day trade today that I was going to hold on to a little bit of size. did take some profits into this 26, but didn't get that continued expansion to the upside. Also, Carvana, you guys know I don't really like the name for long term, but I did take a shot here for a nice little move to 10 and beyond. To tell you the truth, it didn't get towards my profit, so I wasn't even able to take a profit on Carvana. And when it came back, it stopped me out, break even on the rest towards 917. Didn't want to battle this one, but it was a nice one. SOX S, I agree with you. I'm taking a look at that. My only problem with SOX S is that it's a leverage trade. And so leverage trades, I do not like to hold overnight just because of the rebalancing effect, but it doesn't look too bad at all. Sam bringing in one that I think is very interesting. He said he's watching Micron. I've been watching Micron since this first day. I was looking for it to start getting strong because the other tech stocks were strong and semiconductors were strong. And now this is actually getting some strength. So I'm going to be looking for pullbacks around, let's say, like 58s. That seems to make sense for me on Micron. It already has gotten a nice lift. So another one that's very similar to this chart is Marvell. We've been talking about these as they're starting to lift because they're what? They're kind of more of the laggard trade behind, right? I even saw today, I was thinking, what about Intel here off of like maybe 28 on the recent pullback, 27.98s could get in here around maybe 28.50s. It's right now at 28.50s. It went down there to 28.35s. Could we get the push right back through the 29s and the 30s? It's just an outlook that I'm thinking about. I'm not taking the shot right now, but just looking around because there's a lot of action. Let's keep looking underneath the hood to see what's in the green. Of course, technology is the only sector now into the green. For a little while there, it did go to the red, now bouncing a little bit here. So taking a look also, consumer defensives. Those aren't doing as good. Now they went into the red. I saw grocery stores doing good earlier, but now we're getting a little bit of some raise in different areas. We got to be careful out there. Definitely the trade turned around. Let's take a look how gold is reacting off of this. Gold just got a push, came back to VWAP there. So let's take a look to see if we can take any swings in the gold trade as this has been pulling back here yesterday. Now getting another lift off. GOLD, I think, is a little bit high. So is AU. It's a little tough to find some laggard ones in these. They have already taken off. This one looks not too bad. NEM, Newmont Gold. I'm going to take a shot here if I can get the 46.70 entry here on the pullback. Let's see if I can go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to get an order out here. Let's go ahead. Orders out to try to get some of this gold trade. We'll see if I can get a little bit of a pullback towards that 46.70 and then look to ride it up there towards the next high. First, I want to get it to gap fill right back up here towards the upside. That would be a move here going towards 47.87. So we'll see if I can get some pullback fill. If it takes off without me, hey, so be it. Just looking for a nice little grab here on a gold trade. Like always, you guys choose your own investment advice. I'm just taking my shots out here. And WPM, another one, wheat and precious metals, right? That one doesn't look too bad either. Going to leave it alone for right now. Chevron starting to bounce a little bit. Some oils coming back. How's Microsoft looking here? Now we're starting to recover the VWAP. Apple overall, nice little pullback here towards the 159.25s and could start ripping now. Be careful there, team. But these tech stocks, they don't look too bad. And for me, as long as Apple's holding kind of like 157, you're still looking good in here. We'll find out. Tesla, how did that pullback happen there? Ooh, this one looks interesting for me to get another rip towards 200. Would have to risk off the 195 here for a really quick small trade, but doesn't look too bad here. It just all depends on how you feel like the SPY is going to do. Are we going to come back ripping for the 400s, or are we going to come back towards the 396 right now? It's definitely a tough one. What was the order for NEM? It's sitting out there. I'm trying to get there towards 46.70s, but of course it's a little bit higher. And of course, you make your own investment advice. My big thing is it right above the VWAP. I wanted to get filled. It's already to 46.90, so I don't think I'm going to get the fill. But I always look for pullbacks. I never try to chase on the top end because the next thing you know, you could get that pullback to 70s, and I'm down 20 cents to just start the trade. We'll see if that gets back there towards the 47. But NEM, not looking too bad. I'm going to cancel for right now because it's just like way too far. And if it does start coming back, I'll take a look at it. I'll even set an alert for myself. if it's starting to come back down so that I can catch it. We'll see what happens there. NEM, try to do a little bit of a laggard style trade here. Daily chart is what interested me in that NEM. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look. Tomorrow may be totally different. Yes, that is the market, team. But I can tell you right now, I'm feeling bullish, team. I don't know how. I don't know why, but I'm feeling bullish. And a lot of this is just what? I think the banking crisis has been a little bit overblown. And maybe I've talked about this. This could be that I'm just a young blood and I haven't been through a banking crisis before. And again, I don't have the millions to worry about. But I think like this is just a new look on the Fed. And this is getting us closer and closer to what I would feel would be going back towards pushing towards the 410s. Why I feel this way is a lot of the tech run. Big money has been waiting on the sideline to join back into the tech names. And if we take a look at what's happened as of late, and especially since the beginning of the year, this is January here, right? This is the week of January. Look what Apple has done since the beginning of the year, 26%. Look what Microsoft has done since the beginning of the year, right? It's a big rip, guys. This is another 26%. What about Google? January, 23%, right? Like one thing that I'm noticing here is if I was a big money manager and I grabbed some of the big boys this year at the beginning of the year because they were on pullback because all the tech names were getting hit, right? If I put the money to work on those names, how would I be looking at my first quarter? I'd be freaking killing it. 23% on these bigger names. That's an easy way to see the rotation start going into these tech names, right? So I'm focusing on these bigger tech names and realizing, hey, we got an opportunity here, team. We have an opportunity for the golden cross to really come into play. And a lot of that is on the SPY throwback look where we came back to the bearish kind of channel and recovered. When we recovered, that definitely gives us the potential to continue to kind of ride the wall of worry. And especially now that we're kind of essentially not focusing on inflation. Yeah, we did an interest rate hike rate, right? But he clearly stated, we have some other mandates now, right? We're focusing on what's going on in the bank. He did say that they want to clearly get it to another 2%. But how long will that take, right? Now that we're not raising the interest rates, how long will it take for inflation to get back to that 2% is really the question. And what's going to happen with the overall market? Will it just start riding the wall of worry through with the technology names as technology probably not going to be expecting higher rates now, right? They can start figuring out what they're going to be able to do to manage their kind of debt. We'll see what happens there in the SPY. I think it could kind of push, but like always, I'm not going to make any big calls today because, of course, the Fed meeting just happened, right? The conference just happened. Let's take some shots, but not go out of control. That's the way I'm approaching it right now. And like always, you guys choose your own. If you guys feel this is the gas pedal time, gas pedal on. Let's talk about some other trades that are moving out there. Let's take a look underneath the SPY and see what's moving up the strongest today. And that's AMD. AMD is the leading stock in the S&P 500, up about 5.1% there. Nice move in AMD. And this one has been an absolute monster. Kicking myself because I actually traded it through this kind of trend line here. Was able to take some money through the 84s on that day. But maybe should have held a little bit of a runner because this one's just taken off. And it's not only this one, right? NVIDIA. Look how NVIDIA has been running since January. NVIDIA's up 93%. These tech names, the big boys, Meta, continuing to ride higher. Tesla, continuing to ride higher. Anything, I could see Tesla closing the 200. I was thinking about taking the shot off the 195 from the 196. I'm not going to take it here because I'm just keep going through names. But hey, I don't know, man. I really feel like these tech names, they've been hanging on way too strong for us to be so negative on the market. And I know a lot of that is the bank concerns. But if the banks stop going down and they shore up the uncertainty and we're not hearing other banks fall, will they just go bull on the tech names and then really start to give you the FOMO look, right? Because if Microsoft just keeps ripping, right? If Microsoft just keeps ripping higher, we're going to go actually back into an area that I've been really focused on, which was this long-term trend line. And you can see this circle here when I first started talking about this. It's very important. We've been rejecting this trend line multiple times. Now we're getting up to it the third time, and we could blow through that long-term trend line and really start pushing higher. That's around the 285 mark, going back to 300. You get back to 300, how does this chart look? This chart actually looks like it's starting to turn around. And if we draw kind of a long-term trend line here, you guys can see how we came up through the trend, held the throwback look, just put a huge weekly candle in it the prior week, and now it could take off. These stocks don't look weak to me by any means on these tech names. SMCI, that's not a bad one to take a look at. Super Micro Computer, that stayed really strong. Take a look at the daily chart. This one pulls back, has a tendency of getting that next lift. Not a bad little push here in SMCI. I haven't really traded this one, but something to keep in mind. Definitely likes to ride the trend. You can see it here. I mean, look at this nice little takeoff since the 16th. Nice little trend ride and just continuing higher, stair-stepping up. All right, let's keep going. Yes, wait for the dust to settle is smart. Agree. But I don't think cash is also the only way you can go about it here. But like always, you guys just got to take shots when you guys feel is the best time, Captain. And if you feel cash is smarter right now, well, then stay in cash. I'll tell you one thing. I talked about it today, and I think a lot of traders sometimes forget this. We don't need to be in the market, right? One thing that we do have control in is that we can take our money, pull it out of the market, and just stand on the sidelines and be like, well, I'm going to stay here until I see the things line up so that I can take those types of trades. I think that's very important for traders out there to kind of master, but we'll find out what happens. All right, let's get into some other action. You guys go ahead, throw up some other names. Mike, when you said tomorrow is when you put size, meaning selling or buying. What's Francis trying to get out of Easy, Mike? Can't blame him. Can't blame him. Easy's pretty good at it. How does On look? Let's go ahead. Let's take a look. On, are you talking about On Semiconductor? Let's go ahead. Let's take a look there. Daily chart on this one. Ooh, nice name. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sometimes mods, like, I'm not saying that I'm going to take this trade because of you, but I can tell you right now, I like the way the chart looks here. Doesn't look bad at all. All right, so you got this pullback, recent pullback, right? And you can see how you've been fighting this area. Now it looks really nice for it to get back through 82s. But you got to give it the chance to pull back also. Look at this trend line here. Look how you've been holding this pullback. So that's about 80s on that pullback. I'll rewind this a little bit so we can see here. Where's our support? Support is closer towards down here at 76.20s. So we're definitely closer towards the resistance, which is right towards that 82 spot. 82.20s seems to be holding as resistance. But if we can clear that, can we get back there towards the 86? This one doesn't look too bad. It is pulling back right now. Just gave you that downturn towards 80s. We'll just take off through that 82.25. It's not a bad one to keep on watch. I kind of like it here, team. You know what? I don't have any action to the semiconductors right now. I'm willing to take a shot here. Just got to be very aware of what my risk is going to be here. So let me just kind of equal this up. It's about 1.8 there from around the 80.25 spot. And up towards that 82, we're talking about 1.3. If I get to the 86, where would that be? That's going to be about 5% higher. So it doesn't look too bad to get there towards the 86. We need to get it back here towards 81 now. If I can get a little pullback to 81 or maybe off this 81.20s, doesn't look too bad to risk off at 80.20s, but it would cut through that low. I would have to definitely get out here. Doesn't look bad to at least take a little bit of a shot here. Let me see if I can at least get the 80.20 pullback here. All right, order out there for a little bit of pullback action. Of course, we'll see what happens. SPY is trying to recover right now. Could kind of day trade success if I wanted to, but that's why I'm staying away from this. I'm on the swing trade life. We'll see what happens here. Apple overall is another one that I would keep in mind for myself. I would just have to risk off this kind of bottoming action on any like kind of retrace towards 157. But this could really get moving, especially the market's going to get moving to the upside. We'll find out if it gets back above 400 here as we come to try for that 400. We went to 399.89. Let's see if we take to the 400. All right, there's a lot of action going on today, that's for sure. In a little while, we'll be joined by our guest. And like always, with a day like today, there could be so much going on, right? So we're going to try to do our best just to cover what's going on here and bounce into some trades if we can get it. I'm looking at on semiconductor. If I can get a little pullback. That was a nice mention in the chat. I like the pattern. Now the only question is, will it take that next lift, right? We'll find out right here if I can get a little bit of a pullback entry. But the SPY overall just kind of battling. I'd like to see it take 400 here, but just keeping a close eye on it. All right, on that not getting it right now. I think I could get the pullback here now towards that 81 here. Let's see if we get the pullback right now, and then it starts to take off through the VWAP. If it doesn't give me the pullback, hey, so be it, right? That's how life is. Let's keep going. Let's take a look. What else is out there? Disney, 86 is my profit take on. Hey, can't blame you, mods. That's what I see on the daily. That's how I would attack it too. So that's 5% up from where we are now. And I'd have to risk about like 1% on the downside. So just to give you perspective of how I like to attack it, you guys know 3-to-1, 4-to-1s makes sense for me. We'll see what happens. Disney. This is an interesting one. I just don't see like what Disney's going to do to like make it sexy right now. But other than that, I mean, Disney's not going away anytime soon either. But can it go lower than 90? I mean, why not? I mean, I don't know why you tell me that this stock is going back to 190s or 200. And I think that that's one thing that I would ask you, Chico. Are you bullish or bearish on Disney? A little part of me is just more like it doesn't have too much growth story. I mean, maybe you're thinking, Disney Plus, but let's just be honest. They've talked about it. They want to cut spending on Disney Plus, cut the content on Disney Plus. They still want to get subscribers, but they want to use minimal spend. Remember what made Netflix to what it is now? It was spending a crap ton on content. That's what got it to where it is. And of course, they learned from their content and we're able to make better and better content. And I think that's the important part of content spending. It's not always just that you're going to get your first show to be the best hit that you ever had, but that you got to sometimes keep spending a little bit to get that content, right? To get the good stuff out, right? Stranger Things wasn't the first thing that Netflix made, right? Things like this, you need to kind of work towards those good titles. And I think that Disney choosing not to spend so much is actually going to hurt them, not help them. All right, we'll see what else is going on. How we doing out there, team? Got to minimize that risk. Always got to minimize that risk. Grateful to God asking a question here. What's your current market sentiment based on the Fed rate increase? Bullish or bearish? Future outlook. Well, I've mentioned it once or twice today, but I don't mind, Grateful. I'll recover because I know that a lot of people are joining in now as, of course, that meeting wraps up. I'm actually starting to lean a little bit to the bullish side. Why am I leaning a little bit to the bullish side? Well, a lot of that has to do with more of the fact that I'm just looking at the charts. I'm trying not to determine too much on the story of the banks. Of course, you guys can play that, right? I'm just more along thinking, hey, if I look at the daily chart on the SPY and I take a look at that all the time, and I see this throwback look technically where we came back to a channel, bounced off of a channel. If it wasn't the SPY, if it was just some other name, I would tell you it looks bullish. And so in that case, I'm wondering, are the tech names and the big boys rotating to these tech names as we play through this scare? And when we're done with this scare, will we see the tech names just too far where you feel like, man, I have such FOMO for Google. I have such FOMO for Microsoft because they've just taken off. I mean, look at that Google move in the last couple of days. This is up the last 7 bars. So the last 7 trading days, it is up. Doesn't happen often. And I think a lot of this is maybe just traders maybe not even be willing to get into the tech names because of the crisis, but maybe some of the bigger money managers, right, being like, well, I think they'll fix this situation. I could maybe see the Fed flipping their outlook, right, lowering the outlook on the Fed fund target rate, and then seeing tech take off. This is just talk, like always. We're not going to know until it already happens, but I hope that you guys get some assistance from me just talking some situation awareness here. All right, I'm going to pull down my charts. We're going to go to our guest here. Like always, team, smash the like. There's a lot going on today, so we'll find out what we're going to get into. Now, who's coming on? Cryptic, you got it. Ed, the average Joe trader. What's going on? How we doing, Ed?
Hey, I'm hanging in there. How about you?
Oh, can you fix your mic for me? I think we're not having it
Uh,
set there. Just go to the settings maybe on the screen here.
All right.
Not a worry, Ed. I'll let you kind of fix
All
that
right.
up.
Yeah, let me try it again.
Still not hearing you yet, man. No worries. We'll get it fixed here, though. I'm sure it
Okay.
was just probably like a setting. I know you jumped on with the headset there. And yes, I love Ed too. I see you, chat. Ed looks like a gamer. I might
Yeah,
have to ask, what we playing? He's getting some double kills right now in Call of Duty, but he'll be right back, team.
I race.
But yeah, if you can, Ed, maybe check the settings. I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah,
probably the auto setting there. It's not setting up with your mic.
Yeah,
I'll give him a chance to kind of fix that up. Ed, let me know when you think you got that fixed in the private chat here, and I'll definitely bring you right back on. All right, team, just battling here with the kind of course, a little bit of audio. Let me see. I think Ed might have gotten it fixed here, but let me check.
Me now?
Ed, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Nah, still not hearing him. It might. Oh, hold on a second. Ed, talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Ed, look at me. That was this guy. That was this guy. That was me. That was me. Too much going on today, Ed. You know me. I produce, I host, I chart, I do it all. But I think when I was listening to Jerome Powell speaking, he started getting in my ear too much. So I started muting him down slowly but surely. And that's why I wasn't being able to hear you. I think the chat might have even been able to hear you, but it was all me. Yeah, there you go. You guys can enjoy that one. Enjoy that one, team. Normally don't make mistakes like this, but hey, just like trading, you're going to make mistakes sometimes. So just shake it off, right? We'll shake it. What's going on, Ed? How we doing today? A lot of action.
Yeah, it's going. I'm having fun today.
I have some Joel in me. Yes, indeed. All right. So a lot of action going on now. The Fed giving us 25 basis points on the hike rate. What are you thinking about the overall market first? And then we can go into some smaller names. What do you think, man?
Honestly, I was thinking that we were going to bounce. I was thinking we were kind of close to the bottom here of coming out of this this bear market, because usually when you have the banks taking hits like this, it's kind of a sign that things are going to start to turn back around.
Yeah, I mean, it has been like that in the past, right? And at least in the short term, like, and I'll say short term, like, let's say like the last 5 years, anytime we get into these real crisis situation, it seems like they get resolved quicker than in the past. What do you think about that, Ed?
Yeah, I think they've definitely enhanced their playbook. I think they learned from the mortgage crisis the last time we had that issue.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they they learned from that playbook, and the government knew exactly what to do when this started to happen. So I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And I think that a lot of like traders sometimes, and I know that you work with a lot of traders, right?
Yeah.
Ed, you probably see confirmation bias all the time, and traders trying to relate like historical events to the past historical event. And I think that a lot of traders were getting that mentality. maybe it's traders that got wrecked in the financial crisis, right? And I can't blame them for that mentality if they did get wrecked. I mean, it was a tough time. But I feel like those type of traders were almost more worried than traders that hadn't traded through that financial crisis. What do you think about that, Ed?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100%.
It happens, right? Because
Yeah.
it's common to try to compare and try to put situations to a past situation, right? So we feel that we have that playbook, right? Because we're all looking to try to get some edge. But is there really edge all the time comparing historical events? What do you think?
I don't think so. Just because of the nature of the market.
Yeah.
Everything is different. You know, even I didn't trade through the last financial crisis, but everybody that I talked to and even my mentor, you know, told me, hey, this isn't the same. You know, people that haven't experienced it will say, well, yeah, this is the same, but it's not. And, you know, even though we learn from these things, nothing's exactly the same. So we just have to keep, you know, we implement what we have, and we have to be ready to make adjustments because it's not gonna be the same. Like right now, you know, I know we're probably gonna trade sideways for a little bit before we start to bounce, but you know, it's not gonna be exactly like it was, you know, back then. So I'm always gonna stay, you know, ready to make adjustments.
Yeah, I think that's what we got to do. We got to stay
Mhm.
nimble. We got to stay flexible, especially as in the day trading game, even more flexible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Swing trading flexible because the truth is we don't know what was going to be coming in overnight. Also,
Mhm.
I don't know about you, Ed, but at least the last 2 days for me, there was a time at least earlier in this year that I was already starting to get back to swing trading multiple names, and in the last 2 days, I've been at like the mercy of the Fed, I will say. So I've been waiting on the sidelines a little bit to see what would happen and then take some shots. How have you been approaching it?
Well, for me, my best swing trading is done off the bottom. So everything is kind of setting up for me right now. Just kind of waiting for these stocks to come off the bottom. When the market turns, I was waiting for this Fed announcement. It kind of looks like it didn't really make that much of a change in sentiment, at least not yet. But I know when people start getting their confidence back, these stocks that have been taking a beating are going to start coming out the bottom. You know, the techs did really well last week, but I think they're at the point where they're going to start resting, and it's kind of time for the rest of these to start. So I do have a strategy where I look for oversold and stocks that's been really beat up that can bounce, you know, 40 to 60%.
Yeah,
So,
we're hearing in the chat that you're getting some love out there for how calm and cool collected you could be, my friend. What do you think about that?
well, yeah, I can be, but if they were on about 20 minutes ago, I kind of came unglued.
Yeah,
So
that's how it is. I mean, trading will get those emotions flowing. If you never thought
yeah,
you were an emotional guy, maybe you should try some
this
trading.
this works wonders.
Yeah, yeah,
You notice it's empty.
yeah, yeah. I can tell that one. You live close by. I might have to just bring you some, my friend.
Yeah.
The mountains are close to me. They got some
Oh
shine
yeah.
over there.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
oh, you know it, Ed. Let's take a look at the
Yeah.
market. Right now,
Uh,
I'm going to go through some stocks really quickly just to kind of do a little review. I know we got a lot of people that came from the FOMC meeting here. So let's take a
yeah.
look. I've been swinging Chevron. That was the only trade that I took on when this situation was happening. I went short at 159.17. I've taken some profit at 157.17, a little 2 points already. Just looking to see if oil can continue trading to the downside. SPY overall coming down here, rejecting kind of the VWAP around 399. We'll look to see if we can recover that towards the close, but a lot of action going on here. Any stocks on your radar right now, Ed, that you're looking at?
Um, just one that I've been waiting on. I think I told you the other day it was Advanced Auto Parts. I think there's something
Mm-hmm.
going on with them,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm getting in that today before the market closes. I think we're going to see a significant move up here in the next week or two. But
I like the extension. I mean, you know
yeah,
what you're looking for. I think you're
yeah,
looking for that extension to the downside, an extreme stock, right? I always like to use my RSI on extremeness, looking for when this stock has come down to like, just historical levels to the stock. And I
oh
can
yeah,
see it around like kind of like 21s. We have a tendency of getting that bounce around in the RSI. And just to kind of point to that, right? Look at the chart here,
yeah,
right? You see it down there, boom, it starts
yeah,
coming back. You see it down here, it starts coming back, right? You see it down here, it starts working its way back, right? And so
yeah,
things like this is what I look at. Of course, I'd go more off the daily chart, and then you can see it here, how extreme of a moment we're in right now. This is down
oh
to
yeah,
3 on the RSI. 3 on the
yeah,
RSI, 3.8. It's never been down here before. So the only extreme moment that I have here is down to 6. And on that, we came back, just to kind of put it in perspective, about 15%. So I could see why you're trying to attack a chart like this, Ed. It's going to be fun to see if we can start seeing that turnaround there. And I also like your
yeah,
approach here and waiting close towards the close here. So I'll make sure you get out of here. It's close to the close so that you can focus on your trade. Ed, any other one you're taking a
yeah.
look at, my friend? Looks like
Um,
FRC is getting hit here. I just want to take a
yeah,
quick look. Yeah, team, be careful out there with FRC. We are seeing a downturn in that one. And let's see just the major bank, JPM, taking a quick downturn there. So just be careful out there with the banks. This is why I'm not even touching the bank trade. I just feel like it's all over the place right now. What
yeah,
do you think, Ed?
yeah. FRC got me last week.
Yeah, you took a shot on
I
it.
Yeah, I was right, but the morning it pulled back so bad I couldn't withstand the risk on it. And
Yeah,
then later on, in the next hour or two, it was up to $40.
the
You know,
volatility on that name just
yeah,
insane. I mean, and I think that this also happens when we are used to a stock that doesn't trade really volatile, and all of a sudden it
mm,
starts trading like massively. This is why I try
yeah,
to always keep like an ATR on my chart, just so I can kind of know how much on average this stock is moving as of late. Like let's say if I went to the hourly, I could see around 1.46. So $1.46, $2 on a name like this could be a pretty good amount. I mean, at $15, you're talking two bucks. It's like an 11% move in an
yeah,
hour on an FRC. So I could see how that one's really tough to try to tackle, man. And that's why
yeah,
I've been trying to stay away from these. I itch for these, like a lot of
yeah,
traders itch for these. Why? Because there is potential. But my biggest thing is I've been trying my best not to get back to those trades that can make me or break me. Of course, with trade
yeah,
management, I think you could take just about any trade, but I try my best to stay out of those high risky, high reward type of trades because I mean they can get you on back, but it's
y-
difficult, man. It's
yeah.
difficult.
I tell you, I won't do that again for a long time.
Yeah, you can take your shots every now and then. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with it, right? That's why I always tell
yeah,
traders, like, sometimes like people come after certain type of traders, just to kind of mention it, kind of like the meme stock traders with
mm,
GME. I mean, I went
yeah,
after GME today. I was able to make some bank on that pullback. I mean, you just got
oh
to
yeah,
know how you trade, right? That's what
yeah,
matters, right? What's the matter?
yeah,
What's the side on the risk to reward? How's your
e-
process approach? Because
exactly.
that's what gets us to the results. It doesn't mean that we gotta be like, oh well, I don't really like GameStop here, so I'm not gonna trade it. Nah, I mean opportunities is
Yeah,
what we're looking for, right?
exactly. Because I typically don't trade it either, but when it reports earnings, like, I trade aftermarket earnings. And, it reported earnings yesterday, gave us a really good trade. So, I didn't trade it today, but those I typically wait for an event like earnings and I can manage my risk. I've got a strategy for it. So it's exactly what you said. You got to, make sure you can manage your risk.
Yeah, I think that's just the thing that matters. And I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of traders that do try to make these trades are usually the traders that don't have, let's say, the highest experience managing fast style risk trades. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's where you got to understand what you can do. Like, to tell you the truth, for me, this GME style trade, I would call this more momentum trade. And
Yeah.
I personally, I very rarely do these now. It's just going to be more along if I see like a pullback on a day that I feel like this it could bounce, right? So we saw
Yeah.
this like little pattern here today, this little like kind of sideways rectangle pattern here in the early morning. You can see we created this at 10:10. So this little rectangle pattern here for the reversal style, that's what I went after. I was like, once I saw it balancing out, then I understood what my risk was going to be, which was below that 23, right? If I would have gotten it really early on on the day, where would my
Hmm.
risk have to have been? Probably like 2650s.
Yeah.
And I would have got stopped out in a hurry there. But yeah, buy the dips, sell the rips is something that we talk about with Dennis Dick all the time. I know you watch pre-market prep all the time, Ed.
Oh yeah.
And it's always great to catch. I mean, I learn a lot from Dennis Dick on trades like this, really. Buy the dip, sell the rip, right? That's literally the way it works a lot of the times. And it was a nice trade indeed. Any other stock you want to go ahead and bring up before I get you out of here to give you about 10 minutes to go focus on your trading?
Yeah, I'm looking at CVS.
All right,
Um,
CVS.
yeah, a lot of my scam is full of these bank stocks and financial stocks, but CVS is one that I'm looking at. I think it has maybe a little bit more to go before it takes off. One that failed was, let me find that one, and it still may take off again. Was ALK, Alaskan Air Group. That one was hitting. I was looking for it to get down. It should have like triple bottomed almost.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because back in June, back in September, it kind of bottomed out just above 38. And I felt we could bounce all the way back to maybe 44, 45, but it kind of fizzled out before it could get going good.
Yeah, I can't blame you for this one. I've
Yeah.
been fighting myself not to get into American Airlines at 14
Yeah.
before this banking situation happened. That's what I was looking at. I was like, yeah, American back to 14 because I had played it here and then got stopped out. And then I forgot to watch it through the next 14 run. And you know how that one happens, Ed.
Yeah.
That was the one that actually got up there to the 17s. And now when it comes back to 14, there's just this situation, this uncertainty prelumin out there. And I'm like, I don't know if I want it. But one thing's for certain, I do see oil prices going down. So that's why I'm also thinking that, in the long term, airlines couldn't be a bad play for the long term, especially if we can get oil to come back down into reasonable levels. I'm hoping at some point, maybe $50 a barrel. And at $50 a barrel, $40 a barrel, these airlines should be able to make a killing because they're not bringing those seat per chairs down. Have you been seeing these airline tickets?
Yeah, they're outrageous.
Outrageous, and they're not moving them down, even though we're getting these oil prices coming down. So they're just going to make more money, and I think, and try to get it to all their labor situations that they have to deal with. They got to pay their pilots more. They got to pay to try to fix their planes. They got to buy some new ones, right? Boeing out there. We'll see if Boeing gets some more orders. So something to keep a watch on these airlines. I like the trade. I'll let you get out of here so you get a couple minutes before the close. You guys check out Average Joe Trader. I'm going to make sure to throw up your Twitter there and throw up some of your links. You have a good one, Ed.
All right. I appreciate it. You too.
Always good to have you, my friend. Take care.
All right. Great to be here.
All right. Definitely. You guys can check out Ed. I'm going to throw up the link here so you guys can go ahead and give him a good follow. I definitely always love learning from Ed. And to tell you the truth, if you guys are looking for someone to try to help you take you to that next level, especially more like looking for some coaching, I would definitely reach out to Joe. One thing that you see here is that you see the calmness, right? The calmness in the way that he approaches trading. I think that any trader that could use that into their strength should definitely reach out. I'll throw up his link here. You guys give him a nice follow. Let's keep it going, team. Let's take a look how my Chevron trade is doing. Ooh, let's go, Chevron. Chevron down to 156.50s. Let's go, team. Up about 1.68% on this one. Going to keep the remainder for the swing for the gap close to the downside. I've talked about it. I'm looking for this gap here to start filling. We'll look to see if we get that gap fill right to the downside here towards this day. We have a high there of 155.78, closing of 154.58. So I'm going to look for that move to 154.50s. It could be 154.60s that we take that. So it doesn't look too bad at all. And yes, Ed, the real trader, definitely checking him out, team. If you guys want to go ahead and learn, definitely look at the love in the chat. They'll let you know, team. All right, let's keep going. Chevron coming down there. Going to take a look at the SPY overall. And kind of happy I didn't go after that on semiconductor because, man, that thing started tanking. I was watching it in the top chart to see if I was going to take a shot. But look how the SPY just rejected the VWAP. Now coming down fast. Man, this market just likes to fake out to the upside, come right back down. It's going to be a hard one, team. Is this now a dip to buy, or is this a hard turnaround in the tech names? Look at Apple. Apple pulling back, right? I'm going to look for 157 to hold tomorrow and then look to see if we can make our way back. Not going to take too many longs into this pullback because, of course, we got to see what happens in the overnight action. But it's definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for. Tesla coming right back down to 192. Some of these names just pulling back quickly. JPM now down to 127.35s. Bank of America down to 27.70. Is this trying to cut through the lows? I feel like some people are probably taking some shots off of this level here, and you are right on it. Like, look at this, team. Anything below this, I'd be careful here on Bank of America. And you can see these daily lows all in the same area. This would be what my man Joel would call a 3 or 4 star level. So shout out to Joel Alcanid. I know that you guys probably still catch from time closing print, but something to keep an eye out here as these banks continue to drop. Will they come through their lows, especially from those Friday lows on this JPM? Goldman Sachs, let's take a look here. Goldman Sachs starting to go lower, not coming down as fast as some of these other names. So just to kind of mention that, but it could fill the gap, right? Could fill the gap towards that 310. Doesn't look too bad for that gap fill. And that on semiconductor, man, that thing just dropped like a tank here. So glad I cut that position before I got in it on this pullback. But hey, that's how it is sometimes. I would have got stopped out on it. You know, I would have got stopped out at the 80.25, but that's just how it goes sometimes, team. We'll see what else is going on. Bitcoin dumping also, yes, whenever you see a hard downturn in the market nowadays, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to open a Bitcoin account to either long when the market's ripping or go short when the market's getting hit. It's like a hedge vehicle now. I don't know what would be the ratio for that hedge, but it's something to think about, right? There's ways to go towards the market. And, you know, Bitcoin doesn't close, right? I think that's another thing to keep in mind, right? It doesn't have those window hours. We could still go after it. It seems to have worked, especially with the Qs. It seems like it follows the Qs often. So something to just think about, right? Could we just trade kind of off of that? I mean, it doesn't look too bad there. We'll see what happens. Forgot about BITI. Let's see. BITI is starting to take off to the upside. There it goes. The short Bitcoin strategy. It's up, man. I know you were thinking about it. Walter, this actually doesn't look bad now, man. We're actually starting to get the motor moving here. I'd look for maybe some pullbacks towards like 21.75. It's at 22.19. So it's not too much that you got to look for some pullback. So I'm looking for this level. I'll show you why I'm looking at 21.75 for this right here, right? You pull back into this kind of level here. You can get that nice little pullback. You just closed the gap. So I would expect a little bit of pullback as we got to that gap close. Let's go to the chart here. You can see we're slightly above that gap now. Maybe we can get a little pullback here into the 2175 and then another lift, something just to keep watch. Me, we are trimming. Yeah, doesn't look too bad there. I'm up 6% on UVXY. We'll see what happens. I'm thinking at least a few days of blood and tech and semis. 0 basis point dream shattered. Yeah, but they also said that there's no more interest rate like hikes on like the forefront, right? That from here there'd be kind of more of a pause approach. But they also said that they're going to be kind of on a day-to-day approach too. And the Fed on a day-to-day approach just leaves a bunch of uncertainty in the market. So maybe the uncertainty just comes back and overtakes the narrative. That's what we need to keep a watch out for. It's 3:59. That's going to do it for me, team. You guys keep up with the book club. If you guys aren't already a member of our book club, we're going through right now Japanese candlestick charting techniques. You guys want to learn some techniques, learn some reversal patterns like I took on GME today. Find out. Guess who's in that book club? Of course, Average Joe Trader, Ed. You guys can check him out. He comes on the show, actually, and you guys can join the show about the book club. That's why I really am doing the book club, because I let other people join the show. It's unlisted. Only the people that have memberships get this access. So if you want to go ahead and join, it's absolutely for free to join. All you got to do is try to push forward in your trading skills. That's why I really did it. But you guys can check it out. I'll throw up the link here so that you guys get the link to the book club. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll see what happens. I'm still swing short on that Chevron. Glad I went after it. I talked about it early on at the end of live trading. I talked about how I wanted to come after these oil names later in the day. Was able to take it down at least today. Take some profit, which I always think is very important. Now I can just let the trade work, and we'll find out what we're able to get. All right, here's that link. I'm going to wrap it up, team. We'll see what happens in the overall market. What can happen in my Chevron, continuing lower down to the 156. Looking good in that one, team. SPY overall closing here towards 392. We'll look to see if we see some recovery. And there's some smaller earnings tonight, but nothing really massive that I saw. But like always, guys, smash the like. I hope I'll see you guys bright and early at pre-market prep. We'll find out. What does Dennis Dick say? What does Joel O'Connor think? And of course, don't miss it. Our guest, of course, like always, we'll have another special guest for you guys. Tomorrow's Thursday. I got to see if the Chaikin's going to be back. But you guys smash the like button. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early at pre-market prep. And we'll see if this oil trade can come right back down. Remember, I made 6% on Chevron last time for the downturn. Now, looking for the same kind of return. Let's see if we can sell, cover the downturn, then come back and sell into the pushback. This is a whole nother game. This isn't buy the dip, sell the rip. It's a little bit different. Sell the rip down and then sell the bounce back. I don't know how to approach it. Maybe Dennis will say it better for me. You guys hit the like button. I'll see you guys next time right here on Start Swing Trading, where we take a look at swing trading setups, get to traders to take a look at their setups, and of course, take a look at the market action. I'll see you next time, team. Hit the like. What? Good day today, man. I got to go take a breather. That was a tough one today. I'll see you next time, team.